All righty, back at it again. Welcome back this evening, Dad. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. I hope you had a great Easter.
Yes, I always hear how your church likes to have good quality service and some good functions that surround the weekend from Good Friday. Well, I think even going back to Palm Sunday. So, tell me a little bit about that. How was this past week and as in total?
Wow. Wow, what a great week. It starts Palm Sunday, and we got a lot of people back in back home to get family get-togethers. So a lot more people are in town and back at the church. And so Palm Sunday services, and then get right back in preparing. We had for preparation Wednesday. I had some work to do with Mike on some repairs and some updates and the lighting update. And then Thursday's Holy Thursday, and then Good Friday, and then the vigil on Saturday and Easter Sunday. So it's great all the way around. Great to see people. Great to hear the great messages from Father Ram. Um, I always threaten him that I'm going to send Pope Leo his homilies and his preaching because they're
Yeah,
good. They're all,
that that's a little bit of a touchy subject because, for whatever reason,
yeah,
nothing
yeah,
against Catholics, but, the you guys can't seem to get the Pope right.
yeah. We're
Um,
we're we're working on it. It's a struggle, but you got to keep going. You got to work with what you got, right?
right.
What's that? Look who Jesus picked for his first 12. So
Yes, that is true. Well, I'm
in
glad you had a
in
great week.
yeah,
For
fantastic.
if you guys haven't picked up already, Dad and I, we are followers of Christ, and we've been celebrating what he's done for us, making that excruciating ultimate sacrifice for us,
Amazing.
for
Yeah.
the things that we deserve. So, but yeah, we had a fantastic time, had a great service this past Sunday.
Good to hear.
Just really getting into the scriptures and reading the account of Palm Sunday all the way to the resurrection from the perspective of all four gospels. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was just great. Mason getting older, he's sitting in on with the adults now, and we're getting him into the word. So I know
He's at the
he
big people table.
yeah. Uh, I'm sure at times he's like, I kind of wish I was with the kids, but it's good. We got to make that transition. So,
Yep. Yep.
um, so
Good
yeah,
for
so that
him.
was great. Now, a lot's happened. So, we haven't uploaded in a while, about 2 weeks. I'm in school, and I let you
Yeah.
know, I was doing some exams and some
Yep.
reports. Things are going great. No issues there.
Good.
I had to get it done.
Yeah.
So, but now to get to what the world's been going like outside of our immediate bubbles, a lot's been going on. So,
Yeah.
man, I don't even know where to start at this point. I guess still the big
What's on
talking
your mind?
point right now
Hmm.
is Iran. Um,
Hmm.
we had a couple of believe your boys, some Air Force guys go down, and we
Yeah.
had a couple of successful rescue missions,
Wow.
um, especially for the second guy, and and what they had to do to bring him back. So before we get into the politics, as an American, as an Air Force guy, what was your
Yeah.
impression on that?
Well, I think the first time you asked me, I told you I'm not worried so much about the military. They'll do their function. They're very, very professional, and Pete's been actively weeding the unprofessionals out. So um,
Yes.
they'll get the job done. It is a dangerous business, so we will lose some. Everybody's at risk. Um, And so in a case like that, you just hope and pray that they get rescued and they can get come back to their families. The professionalism is and the dedication, you know, the F-15 squadron, providing cover, doing everything they can to get their two folks back, and the others jumping in, Army Blackhawks and other service members, other Air Force units, and all hands on deck. We got two souls.
I read
And
that there was
what?
a diversion. They created a diversion. They were inputting bad intel, and then when
Yeah,
they
at church, one of the guys asked, one of his Army guy, he says, he's tough to follow the news. I said, don't follow the news. It's all BS. I said, they're not going to bring, you know, they're not going to bring attention to where he's actually at. That would be highly irregular for protocol and very stupid. And
oh,
so,
yeah.
so we had a quick chat about it with one of the guys that work at church, and said it if he's alive, if he's good, they'll go find him, they'll get him out. It's just at what cost, and you never know. I remember they went after a pilot, Scott something or other, down in Bosnia, and they send in two choppers full of Marines to get him.
Right.
A captain, you'd have to look it up again, but that's the value that we place on our service people. If one's behind enemy lines, we'll pull out every stop, do whatever spend whatever we got to do. And it doesn't sound to most people responsible to risk 30, 40, 50, 100 people and three, $400 million worth of aircraft, ships, boats, whatever. But we're different here in America, and there's a lot of pride, Air Force. But we just still pray they come home. We want this over, and we want them all home. And
Right.
we pray for the lost souls of that we've lost so far, and pray for the Iranian people that they can get these occupiers out of their country and get onto their life the way they want to live it.
Right. So you made some points here, and just listening to just the schmuck that's on social media and what they're going on about and the live platforms and whatnot. Let's hit a couple bullet points that really have kind of caused me to get a little irritated here. The first thing is I'm getting really tired of hearing the catchphrase, well, why don't you send your sons? Why don't you send your son? Why don't you go sign up and you go over there? And it's like, I understand where that sentiment comes from because it's like nobody wants to see this conflict. So if you start from face value, nobody wants this. Nobody, if you could just wave a magic wand and not have this issue, I'm sure everyone would take it, but such is life, and we live in the real world. Things happen, and like we've spoken about, being in the military, um, it requires a kind of special mindset, to
Mhm.
actually understand what it is that you're signing up for, especially picking the various jobs that you can pick in that. And I almost feel like it's a disservice to service members when you say that. And I
Mhm.
hear it a lot of from people who never served. Um, that's where I hear it most of the time. Some people
Yeah.
are like, "I'm a veteran and well, I wouldn't wanna be fighting this." So, what's your perspective on that? Because it's kind of irritating me as a former service member. Because I think I said
Yeah.
this in a couple of videos ago. I was like, "The Patriots are going off right now," and a part of me is like, "Man, I kinda wish I was seeing my equipment in action," but
Yeah.
prayerfully
Yeah.
and thankfully, I didn't have to do it, but there's that itch that I've trained for it,
Yeah.
and I'm watching it from afar. So, all that being said, what is your perspective on people
Well,
just saying that stuff?
yeah. So let's. I got. I got to think I got a good answer for that. When when Russia rolled into Kiev a little over 4 years ago. Now they had been in starting stuff in Ukraine like 10 years prior, but
Sure.
when they rolled the big army attack in, and we're going to be in there, we'll wipe them out 3 4 days a week tops, and we'll get all this done. um, it was a David and Goliath story, right? The big Russian bear attacking a little Ukraine with barely anything to hold on to and to fight back with. And so I'll tell you, my perspective is the perspective that happened. Tons of American soldiers, Brits, El Salvadorans, Colombian soldiers went and volunteered. They have a division there. I'm not sure, regiment, division, I'm not sure the exact size, but there is a core, a cadre of international soldiers that went to serve. This is what they do. And they saw the unfair fight, the big guy picking on the little guy. And we as Americans don't like that. That's a cultural thing. We have a disdain for that. And that's in our DNA, I guess, our blood. So that's our culture. If we see the little guy getting picked on, we'll step in and even things up, if not turn things around. I think also of the fact that a lot of people have been indoctrinated with the media, since and me included, all of us, with the news, movies. This is how it's supposed to be, and all that, and it, we get a perception,
Right.
and it's hard to get that point across. It's a point I got to try to get across to you folks and your brothers who've served, and all the other members that I ever talked to about it. It is a nasty business to go out and kill people and destroy property.
Right.
And it is the one you train for, and you look forward to someday proving yourself. And then the time comes and you go do your job. And when you get out, so I'll tell you a little story about your old man here, since you are asking your old man. When the
Yeah.
Gulf War broke out, the 747 landed in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. They were going to try to stop Iraq supposedly from going beyond Kuwait. I don't think that was ever the plan, but who knows? That was the threat. Well, when that at 747 landed, it was an ALSI team of Air Force cadre, and I trained half of those guys, and I wanted to be with them. These were my people. These are my brothers. And I was naming them. We were all at work and we all huddled around the TV, and CNN had it live, and everybody was upset at CNN for showing it live and not keeping it a secret. And so I was naming the team members coming off the airplane, and I hurt because I wasn't with them. So I actually went to the recruiter and said, "Hey, take me. I know exactly what they're doing. I trained for this. I trained those people. I'm there. I can be of help to the Saudis and the Kuwaitis, and at least for a little while until the troops come. I could start day one." And
Right.
the recruiter said, "No, we're not taking any prior service right now." I was like, "Knock, knock." So
Wow.
I said, "Oh, yeah, that's what." That doesn't make any sense, but okay. Um, you know, obviously they weren't thinking about this, and so I seriously considered volunteering with the Saudis and made some contacts about and things were going on personal side there that I wanted to take care of, and so I opted out. But I know that feeling. Your heart goes out to your service people. We're all brothers and sisters in arms now, and once you're in and you practice for this stuff, you build that bond, and it never really leaves you. And
Yeah.
that's why it's hard to, when you get the news that's an attack or somebody's been killed or wounded, you feel some of that. because we know that that was a price that we were willing to make. We don't want to make. We want to make the other guy die for his country. Um, but what you
Right.
saw was America at its finest. And I'll end with this one quick story. In the battle of in Iraq, there was an army guy, I think it was a staff sergeant, that had to take out a bridge, and they're trying to capture the bridge before the Iraqis got a chance to defend it. And Iraqi tanks were rolling up, and they needed to take the bridge to get across the other side. And so, at that time, this is basically few seconds old. It's not live, but it's old. Just a
Right.
few seconds old, few minutes old. And a soldier, I think it was a staff sergeant, took um took charge of a squad there, and a couple of squads, and just charged into took this nest out, and got to one side of the bridge and started to go across the bridge when the tanks that finally rolled up and was spraying fire and all this stuff. And that staff sergeant, on the attack of the nest, there was a couple of survivors, and he had one of them with him, and he was dragging them along. The action was live, so he couldn't send them to the rear for prisoners, and,
Sure.
and have them processed because the battle was ongoing. That sergeant drug him back to the safe side of the bridge and covered him to protect the Iraqi from fire from the Iraqis.
Hmm.
That's the kind of professionalism of our soldiers that you will not see anywhere in the world. That's why the
No.
world's 911 is the United States.
Yeah, that's a fantastic story, and really demonstrates the attitude behind the American military there. And I've seen it, you've seen it, and yeah, that's it's just aggravating. It's like I understand, and you're right. It gets pumped into these people's heads, and then they start just regurgitating it like original thought. They hate when I say that. They'll comment something in the comment section, or yeah, and if live to me, and I'm like, wow, you made it sound like an original thought, and they just go, oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's true. But yeah, and
But
another
people who
thing,
don't know
yeah,
will prove the fact that they don't know.
yeah, and yeah, and then I always get the other thing too. It's like, well, you were in the military. Why don't you re up? And I'm like, I did my time. They're getting their orders
Yeah,
as they got JAG officers. If it's an illegal order, they could report to their JAG officers. Otherwise,
yeah,
Uncle Sam's gonna do with whatever the hell they want to do with them.
yeah.
That's what you're there for. I can't stop that.
Hmm.
So, um, yeah, and it's funny you made a comment too about Pete kind of cleaning house there. He's been rolling out a few 3 and 4 stars. Just like, hey, I'm done with you. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. Army chief of staff, geez, you're all gone. Like it's just okay. I think they said 13 in 2 weeks. He said,
Yeah,
nope, you're done. And of course,
yeah.
the
It's
headlines are, "Oh my gosh, Pete Hegseth, he's disbanding his military leadership, highly decorated. What is he doing? Chaos." And it's like, no, I think there's more to this story.
No. Well, there's always is, and you got to understand the history of this. This is not new. Um, um, Eisenhower and Nimitz in World War II were unproven. Turned out to be pretty good choices. And of course, they had their heavies. They had Nimitz had Spruance and a couple other guys. MacArthur had a couple of Patton we talked about had Major General Terry. nut job that he was. Uh, and um, you know, we had Marshall. Thank God we had General Marshall back here at the Pentagon. You talk about cleaning house. Study what General Marshall did to the Department of War at that time, before it became the Department of Defense, and cleaned house because he needed warriors and he needed them now. And you talk about my way or the highway. He did the same thing, and there's times for that. There's time for that gleaning. You know, your scripture, your Moses running the Israelites through the desert,
Right.
separating from the wheat from the chaff. Okay, and sometimes you got to do that, and it's not pleasant. Of course, your political enemy saying, "Oh, he doesn't know what he's doing," and people who don't know will say whatever, or people who have a vested interest in defeating the other party, or or worse, defeating America, will say what they want to say. So that's always going to happen. That's expected. It happened in World War II. It happened in World War One. The Spanish American War. We weren't ready for that. We called up the militias and stuff like that. It was a fiasco. But we,
Right.
sooner or later, we get our act together and we become a fighting force. You know, it was about a year before we first got off into Kuwait and we actually attacked. It was a long time. So we got a lot of equipment, material, and all that stuff to get there. Um, we're at a point in American history, American military history, we don't have to do that to that extent.
Sure.
We're treating with the weaponry, tactics, protocols. We're treating potential enemies as big big Jenga puzzles, and we just pull out three, four, and we get what we want out of it. And understand what we want out of it. You and I don't know. We're not in that room. You know, we know what they're saying out here, and that's the one beef I had with Pete, saying that the air is ours, we're dominant, and it was way too early for that. No, if they're still sending ballistic missiles into that air, we don't have air dominance. Something's wrong with that, or he's just trying to be cute. He's trying to out Trump. I don't know what that was all about. But we don't have air dominance if they can send Stingers and aircraft missiles and ballistic missiles to Israel. Sorry, not there yet. Pretty good. Not knocking what the military has done, but to call
Right.
it complete air dominance, no. Now that's tactics versus strategy versus the politics. You know, we're just not in those rooms, and we don't know. I can glean stuff. I can look at units. I can see what units are deployed. I can see. We can read the tea leaves. We've been in, so we know when we see
Right.
certain types of ships, or army equipment or air force, we understand. We're putting the dots together. We understand what's coming. But for the vast majority of people, they're just going to look towards CNN and whoever, Fox, and say, okay, what they're telling me is what I need to know. And it's not even close. They're not
Right.
going to tell you what you're going to do. They're not going to tell you what it's like, because you can't tell. It's impossible. So the talking heads are going to talk. That's what they do, whether it's on social media, whether it's on news, or now some of the newscasters are looking like podcasters, and they're turning their studios into podcast rooms. So,
Right.
it's a crazy time to be an American right now. But we want this over now, and but we gotta let them finish the job, and complete the work, and bring everybody home. And
Yeah.
that's their stated mission. Okay.
Yeah. And just so people understand what Dad's talking about here, I think the simplest example would be when we get word that the Ford and Lincoln are both heading out to that region, every veteran's ears puckered, and we went, "Oh, okay." That was a oh, there's something serious about to happen. And we
Yeah,
knew there wasn't this like, well, okay, where they're just gonna send them to posture. No, there's a reason you send that equipment into those particular regions. It all has a meaning to it, and it was going to be there for use. So that's
yeah,
probably the
yeah,
simplest example because those things were broadcasted across all the media. Oh,
yeah.
uh,
The F-22s and the F-35s. Well, that's a 1-2 punch, stealth 1-2 punch.
right.
So we know what's going to happen first, and they'll be done at home having breakfast and going to bed by the time it hits the news.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
know,
just like, last summer's, bomb raid in Iran on the
right,
nuclear sites, that they were over
right.
the ocean before anyone woke up.
Yeah. Well, what happened? What we were bombed? What they were bombed? What?
That was
So
fantastic.
yeah, yeah, and the equipment's only getting spookier and spookier, and you know, um, but it's a dirty business, and prayerfully, it'll get done quickly and efficiently, and we'll get our boys and girls home and get them back on our shores. Might get
Yeah.
some European units back to the States. It sounds like NATO's crumbling before our eyes.
We're gonna talk about that because
Oh, okay.
yeah, we're gonna get to there. Don't trust me because there's a few things about this that are just insane about some of the things the French have said. Spain,
Hmm.
um, they're just all nut jobs. But before we get there, because I want to still stay on the subject of America. Now, Dad, we've had conversations about um like the political mindset, the political landscape, posturing, how the political parties like to talk out both sides of their mouth. We've covered this large landscape, and it all seems to fit until you get to Donald Trump. Now, I don't know. It made complete viral news on Easter Sunday about what this man posted. Have you seen that? Some of his Truth
I
Social posts?
I saw where people are complaining about his. I haven't
Okay.
read the
Okay, so we're gonna actually I'm gonna show you this now live. Okay, so here
Oh,
we go.
okay.
This was on Easter Sunday. This is a parental warning. I'm not going to use the words that were said, but if you have
Oh,
little ears, let's yeah, let's let's be cautious about that. So, this was a Truth Social post that happened yesterday. Uh from our leader. Now, I'm going to read it for you. We're going to bring it up and I'm going to read it for you. And I
okay.
want you to process what he's saying and I want to get your idea on your initial reaction and then I have a
Okay.
question for you, okay?
All right.
So let's bring this up here.
Okay.
Donald Donald Trump, Tuesday will be the power plant day and bridge day all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the effing straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah, President Donald J. Trump.
Okay.
All right. So, initial thought, Dad.
I'm laughing because he's about the world's best troll, and he knows how to push his political enemies' buttons. And uh, and the other thing is, he's always been. Most people will say this, whether they like him or dislike him, that he thinks out loud, and you can tell what he's thinking. And he says what most people won't don't want to say. But the sentiment is there amongst millions of Americans.
Right.
Um, this is not a new war. We're finishing prayerfully finishing what should have happened 46 years ago.
Right.
So So my, to me, I have to chuckle because he's the only one who can get away with it, and
Right.
because the people who hate him are going to boo him, so he already knows that. The Republicans who want to support him but can't because he's socially uncouth, and count me in that. He's a loudmouth New Yorker. 100% agree. And but I always know what a New Yorker's thinking. I don't have to worry about that.
Right.
It's the quiet ones that you have to worry about. Okay? And
Yes.
so he just said what a lot of people have been thinking for decades now. And
So
he now understand something. I'm probably in his shoes. If somebody tried to kill me, I'd be in I really don't care mode.
fair. Fair. No, that's totally fair. Okay.
Yeah, you
So
try to put bullet grazes my ear. All bets are off. I'm saying exactly what I'm going to say, and it's not going to be Merry Christmas. It'll be 2 words, but it won't be Merry Christmas.
right. So there's a lot to unpack with this here from based off what I've seen
praise be to
and
Allah.
how people were reacting. So I kind of just want to lay out a few things and then I'll let you take it where you want to go with it. So
Okay.
you've kind of touched on it already about the um a little bit of the professionalism or kind of being uncouth versus couth. Like there's a lot of everyone instantly went, well, that's not presidential, that's not leadership, that's not
Oh, it's
professional.
leadership.
uh, okay, so that we'll call that point one. Okay, point two is now he's unhinged, as if he's
Nah.
never said anything like that before. He's lost his
Okay.
mind, and we need to 25th Amendment,
Oh,
get him
gee, many
out. He's
crickets.
lost his mind. This is what people are saying.
Sure, sure.
Um,
Well, they said
and
Biden
then
was sane, so
r right.
sharp as the tack.
Yeah, so, um, and then I guess you marry that in with, "Well, he started it, so why is he getting mad about this?" They're saying that. Well, I the strait was open before
Yeah,
Trump did anything, so it's his fault. He's the one who closed the strait because he's the one who attacked. So I want you to take all those little bullet points there, those little points, and I want you to kind of give me your thought on
sure.
all that.
All right. So, in every conflict, there are going to be side repercussions, collateral damage. And this is whether it's in battle or military kinetic battles or boardroom battles. There's going to be side people that get hurt. A boardroom battle goes awry, and a group of investors and their directors take over, and 18,000 people are laid off. Collateral damage.
Right.
Okay. They didn't do anything wrong. They showed up to work every day, 5, 10, 15 years, and now they're gone. All right. So this is what happens in any conflict. Okay. Now, in the Strait of Hormuz, um, we don't know what was in the behind the curtain and the Department of War gaming and the stuff. They had to have planned for this. I know they had planned for the mining of the strait, but anything far beyond that, I don't know. We're not privy to. So what they have and what they're planning to is beyond me because I'm not in that room. Now, as far as the optics are concerned, you could take it either way, and his detractors will say, "Yeah, you did. It's all your fault," and his protractors will say, "Hey, well, you got to do some damage, and then now we got to clean it up." And so Either way you want to take it, you could prove yourself right. It's an ongoing situation. Okay. And the the um the postings that he does isn't always for our audience. That's what you got to understand, especially in propaganda, in the military politics. It all depends who your audience is. And so the Russians are great, the Chinese are great at this. They're always posturing for something way beyond. And we're very short-sighted here in America. We're a very microwave society, and we want this result in 15 seconds. I want an answer in 15 seconds. And we don't know how it shakes out. Well, there's no guarantees. There's no guarantees in life. Good Lord don't guarantee you tomorrow. Okay? Just open a newspaper tomorrow and look at the obituary column. Okay? There's no guarantees. Okay? And when you start getting to kinetic actions like war, there's even less. How people react, contingency plans. You think you know what you know, and then, like Mike Tyson said, you get punched in the mouth, and now you got to make some adjustments. Or Napoleon, every general has a plan until the first cannon fire. So now they're constantly reassessing, regrouping, and changing and modifying the plans, which they should be. That's what professional armies and militaries do. The audience, however, is what's really at stake. He's telling you what he's thinking, and how you react. The reaction from around the world is telling him who his friend is and who his friend is not, who's on board with him and who's not, or even better, all that plus what the actual phone calls are like. Oh, I got to say this in public, yeah, but I'm with you. I really can't say this in public, but man, you gotta hit them harder. So we're not privy to any of that stuff. We think we know what's going on. We don't. We only know what we can see and glean from the posts and the military and the news, and you got to get in this information and sift through it and find out what is factual, what is conjecture. You got to get some facts and some points and nuggets, and then draw your own conclusion, connect the dots the way you see fit. And that's going to happen based, for most people, on common sense. And for one very large political party, it's based on the emotions, on their Trump derangement syndrome. Because everything is viewed based on that narrative, that political scope. Nothing's viewed outside of it. Or we're viewed as the aggressor. Well, we've been aggressed against for 47 years. Oh, well, we've done this to them. Yes, this is an ongoing battle. Hello.
Yes.
This fight has been going on in all kinds of manners, sneaky, quiet, sometimes in the news, for 47 years. Now President Orange is saying, okay, we're going to end this. Okay. 47 years late, but okay. But please end this and get the Iranian people on board so they can do what they need to do, and let's wipe our hands and move out. But
Right.
it's not a new war. It's not a new battle. It's been ongoing. And I could care less about who started it. Well, when the Shah, before him was another guy, and before him was another guy, and we had a
Well,
treaty in the
that's what
1800s.
they
How far back?
say.
When the world was hot molten lava, and dinosaurs roamed, this was happening. How far back do you want to go before you want to? This is 2026. They
Right.
were actively building ballistic missiles, looking for a nuclear weapon to do exactly what they're doing to Israel and their neighbors right now. And not just control the Strait of Hormuz, but the whole region, and dictate the terms of that control. All right? Well, would they really do that? They've been doing it for 47 years. What part are you not getting?
Right.
And so there are people who want to put their heads in the sand and not recognize. And there's a great movie on this. If you get on Netflix or whatever, Don't Look Up.
Uh,
That's a fantastic movie.
it looks
Okay,
so weird. I just was like, it looked like a
you
gimmick
gotta
woke
see it.
kind of thing.
Yeah, oh yeah, but you gotta see it. I'm not gonna spoil it. You gotta see it, and it makes such perfect sense. And I tell people there's two movies to understand how the swamp works here in America. American Made and The Lord of War. Nicolas Cage, Tom Cruise. American Made, the pilot sneaking drugs in and out, and The Lord of War. They explain so much about what goes on between corporations and governments and political stuff. The stuff, some of it I witnessed, and it didn't make sense until I got home and read the magazine newsman. Oh, okay, I see. We did this 6 months ago, and here this activity is happening. Well, yeah, and somebody's going to get upset. Well, we're just breeding new jihadists. Yeah, and we're breeding Americans,
Yeah.
especially our family.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. No shortage there. So no, it's so astounding because you're right. Because that's all I hear is they want to find the previous thing. It's like, well, you can point to Iran doing X, and you're like, but no, just go a few years prior. America did Y, and I was like, okay, but then Iran before that did this. So you're right. It was you could just keep going back, and that's the
It's
major
not a
talking
new
point.
war. By doing that, they're proving it's not a new action. It's not a new war. It's just now, it's like the Russian war in Ukraine. They started that 15 plus years ago. The big final battle was the attack 4 plus years ago.
Right.
Okay, that wasn't a new. That's when they launched a ground offensive to end this once and for all. But the real war started 10 years prior, 11 years prior. And that's what
Right.
people don't want to talk about. Oh, well, no, they just, so people cherry pick what nugget morsel suits them, and they chew on that, and then makes them feel good. Okay, God bless you. Feel good on it. The world is an evil place. It is a
Right.
hard place. And that's on a good day. And there are people out there who say their book says we're waiting for our 13th imam and we're going to kill everybody and all go to Allah and get our 72 virgin goats. Okay. By the way, I've been checking. I have not found what the women get. The women get nothing out of this.
No, they don't. And
Uh,
yet they still, as you would go, yep, Islam.
or it's working for me. Okay, good for you. Yeah, not working for us here in America, and a lot of people.
Right.
So,
Well,
uh,
really quick here. Take like a minute for this one, so we can kind of wrap up the American perspective on this. The big thing that we come to go back and forth on in these debates with me and online people is, well, we had a setup, we had a deal with Iran. Obama had this set up, and there was no issue with the Strait, and they were allowing us to do inspections, and they were doing this and that, and I'm like, excuse me, because
all
if
right.
we can rewind time, all I remember is this headline saying, tension slightly rise between US and Iran because Iran is failing to provide X during an inspection. The same headline here, same headline here, Are you sure it was working, or do you just feel like it was? Because there was no
Um,
issues in your world.
it's a
So
great story, but that's not wasn't reality. In fact, the Israelis paid for that on October 7th, a couple years ago. A lot of that money, keeping the Strait of Hormuz, allowed billions of dollars to come in and finance Hamas and Hezbollah.
The H's. Right.
Yeah, and so that's what you get. These people have evil intention. It's not a mystery. They've been proclaiming this for decades. These particular groups, for centuries in general, but in these particular groups for decades, they're telling you what they want. Okay, so 2 billion Muslims have a problem with 7-8 million Jews, and they don't know what to do about it. Okay, get them out of here. And so now they got to drive them out. So our dollars that went to buy oil, or whoever was buying from those countries, mainly China, okay, and that money came back in the form of rockets and missiles and murderous attackers. So this hasn't been, walking through a park here and sniffing the roses and the daisies. That it came back to haunt Israelis. Okay, how it took them so long is their own political issues, because they had a liberal progressive socialist wannabe. Um, his name's all splattered all over through the Epstein files. Just a little side note, that that looked the other way, even when
Right.
Obama sent them the $100+ billion, and Biden leaves the Afghanis $90 billion worth of
But
military equipment.
that was their own money, though. We owed them their money back. It was their money.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And this is how we get rewarded for giving them their money back.
But they weren't attacking with the deal in place, Dad. They weren't attacking. I'm just trying to play.
designing and building and improving and innovating and building bigger and stuff. And oh, by the way, selling it to Russia to kill Ukrainians, where we're trying to support them supposedly. Right. So if you just connect the dots, you see that there's a group of nations, companies, corporations that are just in bed with each other to make a buck. And the vast majority of that left went to United Kingdom and Canada and other places. They're not staying there to get their 72 virgins. What happened? The mullahs are the ones that didn't get initially lit. They're out. They're like, you're on your own. We handed military authority to the IRGC. Praise be to Allah. Whew, we're out. Okay. And they're in England and in Canada right now, letting the IRGC take it in the chops. So much for wanting your 72 virgins and dying for Allah. You have to buy new waders to wade through this BS. I mean, it is not a swamp. It is a cesspool. And you ever been to a water site, where the sewer, it's a mess. And
Right.
And so, it's ugly, it's wasteful. Everybody wants peace, but peace is not the absence of war. Peace is when somebody is strong enough to determine and say, okay, this is what peace looks like right now, or else. And so right now there's a power vacuum in the Mideast because we didn't do what we should have done 47 years ago. And my God, people around the world have been paying for this for decades.
Well, Trump said it in 1980. Everyone's like, I get the first time Trumpies or even the 3-time Trumpies, a few of them were like, well, I didn't vote for this. Listen, you flipping moron. He's on an interview in 1980 saying we should have done the exact same thing that he just did. That
And
shame on you for being a moron. Sorry if I'm
yeah,
shouting. Shame on
yeah.
you for being a moron and not doing your due diligence and knowing the person you voted for.
Now it's not that they're moronic. You got to understand something. People have chosen a side. I chose a side, America. Some people chose the other side. And there's a group kind of like, hey, what's going on here? All right. So, it's just like an ordinary baseball game. That's it. Some people are rooting for one team, some people are rooting for the other team, some people are rooting for the hot dog vendor. You know,
That's the
people
Green
pick.
Party guys. We don't talk about them.
So, yeah, if you try logic against an emotional person, you're talking Greek to somebody speaking Latin. It's not going to register. So
Yeah.
that's why rarely do I ever get in a conversation. It's not so much that they're moronic, it's that they have intentionally chosen a side and placed lenses over their eyes. I've done the same thing. My lenses are red, white, and blue. America first. Everybody else dead last. You're not even second. Okay. And why do you think that way, Joe? I'll tell you. I have visited grave sites around this world with American service tags on it. I visited graveyards around this country from Revolutionary War and Civil War. People paid a price so I could raise you and your brothers and sisters in peace.
Yeah.
Okay? And so when your grandfather asked me, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And when I signed, because I signed at 17, I needed his signature. I said, "Yeah, I want to serve. I want to serve." Okay. And so it not just in the military can you serve. You can serve as a citizen who says, I'm America First citizen. And I'm gonna get involved in my community, my city, my county, my parks, and my schools, and serve that way. Good God bless you. Knock yourself out. And we're going to follow the rules that we set aside for us, and do the best we can to improve where we can, and then hand it over to the next generation and say, what can you do better with this? And we've done so well with it in spite of the issues and the problems we really do have. But we invented new problems and new solutions that always involve government. So this is not new. Other countries have gone through this. History is replete with examples, and kingdoms and empires rise and fall, and they all basically do the same thing. And we're no different. We've got to stretch this out by making some very hard, tough decisions, and straighten this out. But by golly, I'll go down if it all falls apart. It's because we went on fighting on our feet and not cowering on our knees. This is not. Your grandmother once asked me, what would have happened if you, Joe, if you got caught behind enemy lines and you were captured, and I probably wouldn't last 3 minutes, 3 hours, because I'd be so PO'd. I know I would have set somebody off and somebody would have shot me. You know, and and when I was 16 and in ROTC, an Air Force cadet came back and he gave me a book. It was a Brentwood High School, and he came back and he gave me. And you want to read a story about what it is to be an American and be an American and an American serviceman. And it's Lance P. Seajohn, story of an American fighter pilot shot down in Vietnam. Okay? You study that, read that, Lance PC, John. Wow. He, you know, he had more patriotism in his pinky than I could probably hold in my body. You know, just an amazing human being, no longer with us. He died in Vietnam. But how he got there and how he died, very telling. And so I just respect that fact. Others don't want to. That's on them. I put my head on the pillow every night knowing I did the best I could. Today, last week, last month, imperfect that I am, sinner that I am, I get it. But when it comes to this country, as
Right.
a nation, as an idea, as an ideal, as a construct, nobody goes to Germany to be German. Nobody goes to Japan to be a Japanese. People come here to be Americans, and that's what your grandfather taught me. Taught me and your uncles. Okay?
Yeah.
And he had every reason to be upset, coming from the territory of Puerto Rico and all that history, very bad history between the US government and Puerto Rico. A lot of reasons Puerto Ricans are upset with Uncle Sam. But you remember the front lawn had a flag flying 24 hours a day, and at night when the light fell, when the sun went down, the lights came on.
Yeah.
Okay, because he asked me what the rule was, and I told him the rules is, well, you got to put a spotlight out there. The night doesn't come to the American flag. And so he did. He ran wire out there and put a bulb on that thing, and at night the light shone on the US flag. Okay?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I remember that.
Okay? So that's where I come from. And so I chose a side too. As imperfect as I am, as imperfect as the US government has been, as imperfect as Americans are, I've been to 27 countries and I always came back home.
Yeah. No, you've always told me once you left America, you left America.
Yeah, and those people are arguing with them. Most of them are clueless, or if they were overseas, they went on mommy and daddy's trust fund and went to the high places. And I met people like that overseas when I was in the '80s and traveling Europe and Far East and Africa. The ones I had real attachment to were the missionaries. These people were spreading the word as they saw it and understood it and living amongst the people, and living off the land and working with Nigerians and Korean and people from around the world, the Colombians, Salvadorans, and they were doing the right thing. Okay, that Cuban flotilla where everybody went there and celebrated communism in that happy hotel where it was dark everywhere else.
Yeah.
That epitomizes what I saw way back in the '80s. That mindset, the limousine liberal, goes to their gated community and tells the starving communists it's the orange man's fault, not the 67 years of you living off the Soviet Union and then Venezuela and Mexico. Communists are champion grifters. They're nothing but pretty looking thieves.
Yeah. Yeah. The one that led that charge, or I shouldn't say led it, but he was a bigger name in the podcast realm. His name is Hassan Piker.
Yeah,
And
I
I've
made a
seen
post
some of
about him.
say what?
I made a post on him.
Oh, I'll go digging and we'll bring it up. Yeah, he's a lunatic. He actually took a trip to China a little while ago and was filming, and the local police weren't having it and were telling him that he needed to stop filming. And he's like, yeah, he was lying to them. Yeah, the camera's off. Keep the camera on. Keep the camera on. Yeah, the camera's off. We were just, we love this place. And it's like, you just don't get it, and you're at the heart of it, dude. There's no helping you. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
Can't see the
uh,
forest for the trees.
yeah, it's and he was out in public. He wasn't even in like a government building. He wasn't in a medical facility. He was out in the open. No, you can't film here. Turn that off now.
But they film.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Asian CCTV is ridiculous. But all right. So we're getting a little late here. I did want to touch on NATO. So first off, to hell with them. Um yes, that's my
Don't
thought on
mince
that.
words.
To hell with them. It should have ended in what, 91?
After
I think
91, after 91, yeah.
um they reorg, and then yeah, we're funding the entire thing. It's a waste of money. I shove in Democrat, liberal, Marxist face this all the time. I said, it's quite interesting when I get to watch Germany proclaim to the world that they made um internet a human right that should be guaranteed for everyone. Yay us. However, they spend 0.9% of their GDP towards NATO, and they have literally no defenses. Now we know why. Germany had two chances to have a military and they screwed up. Uh, but that's with all NATO countries. And I'm going to say something. Give me 1 second, Dad. Give me 1 second. All right. Canada, we need to understand something. You exist thanks to our benevolence. Sorry, I had to say that because I'm so sick of hearing Canadians going, "You guys are this mean. You guys bully the rest of the world and blah 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 blah. You empire. You guys are just imperialists." Yeah, we're very, very much imperialist when we haven't taken you over when we can. So,
Yeah, well, that's the liberal
um,
progressive socialist commie wannabes in Canada, which is sadly is growing.
yeah. So, anyways, no, I don't think we should be a part of NATO. It's. I don't even think we should be part of the UN. Once we pull out of the UN, once we pull out of NATO, it all collapses. Therefore, showing that we're flipping the bill for everything. Okay, I think it was important strategically for the United States to position themselves, economically speaking. That's what gave us the strength in the U.S. dollar,
Yeah,
as the currency, the world market currency.
yeah,
We had a
reserve currency.
dominating navy to protect trade routes, and that's exactly what Trump was trying to do. You can miss me with the whole, um, oh, look at this. NATO allies are telling Trump, no, we are not going to help you. Look, he's begging for help. No, he's not. You guys want us out of there, correct? Yeah. Okay. We don't need anything coming out of that strait, do we? No. Who does? Uh, NATO? Right. So wouldn't it behoove them to send their own security to protect their own assets? Well, uh, crickets. That's all I get.
Yeah,
Cricket.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's not thoughtful. It's just all emotional. Whatever the orange man says, you just got to go against it. And there's plenty of things not only said for the last 40 years, but Hillary Clinton ran on attacking Iran in a
Yeah.
campaign promise.
I think Kamala Harris even mentioned it in an interview.
Okay, so it's convenient for them, and that's all it is. It's just stupid politics. They're. It's not thoughtful. It's just okay. He's chosen this angle, so we're going to choose the opposite. It's just, and it's really playground stuff. You'd expect more from adults, but it's really fourth grade playground stuff. I'm for this, therefore you're for that. You're just you sit at the mean girl table. No, I don't. Yeah, you did. It's just that. The reality of the fact is people have been dying for decades because of these people. Now, NATO, when I was there, was a problem already. Um, People are complaining about the lack of support, um, and that we're their backstop in the Soviet Union, and they've got 30,000 tanks and all this stuff, and once I started meeting a couple of friends who were really interested in the geopolitics at the time, we're starting to realize that Russia was basically some of the biggest bluffers east of the Milky Way. Yeah, they had numbers.
Right.
Well, they got the MiG-25. Yeah, they got about a dozen of them that work. We've got 1,400 F-15s. We already had an F-111. F-111 can actually do Mach 3.
Oh.
It can't do it for very long because it wasn't designed to, and the skin will basically melt. And not until they developed the F-15 and a couple other planes did they start using titanium, all in the right places. And so once I discovered the back channels, that the way Russia was financing the operations, it was real enlightening that this was all a show, and they're great at bluffing. They used us as the boogeyman. We used them as the boogeyman. It was all a show, and a very dangerous show because some people took it very serious. Okay,
Right.
and they had real weapons that can go boom. Okay, and along come 1975, 76, the A-10 gets developed, the F-15 gets developed, and with technology, we have basically neutralized. And that's what scared them about it. This old guy from California goes, well, we're going to build satellites in space. They're going to look right down your launch tubes and zap them. We're going to call this system Star Wars. And so we're going to render your nuclear obsolete. Okay, we need to come to the table and talk about some peace agreements with nuclear weapons all of a sudden. Now,
Right.
to the credit of the Russians, they had a problem. They went through like 4 or 5, maybe 3 or 4 premieres, and not until Gorbachev did they have a steady premiere. And I think that's why they took a younger guy, because all the old 75-year-olds they were putting in charge were just croaking, and it was so. The premier's got a cold. Okay, and then 3 months later he's dead, and so they were going through a revolving door, kind of like the mullahs in Iran right now. And so once Reagan had somebody to work with, they came to the table and we had the peace agreement because they realized this is going to get it's bank. Russians knew it was bankrupting their country, and we knew it was bankrupting their country. That was the whole game. And so we won the Cold War, and a good portion, maybe 40% of the American population, has never forgiven Reagan and the Republicans for defeating the Soviet Union. And that's why we got NATO. And they had to dream up issues for NATO to get involved in, Bosnia Herzegovina being the big one. Okay? If NATO could not take care of Bosnia, a European issue, by themselves, okay, that's all I needed to know. They were just as much as a paper tiger as the Soviet Union was. They were worthless. I saw that. Okay, I'm already out of the service, but they can't even clean up Bosnia Herzegovina, the fall of the Yugoslavia. Well, it's a complicated mess. They're all the same people, DNA wise. Is that some are Muslim, some are Christian, some are Orthodox Christians, and so they've been fighting this for 700 years. Okay, so why are we? This is why I say get out of NATO, let them kill each other, and don't get involved with Europeans again. Europe is gone. England's gone. They've gone full out Muslim. The king didn't even do an Easter message, and he's the head of the church. And his Prince son William, Crown Prince, he's sitting there with the mullahs in the mosque, and they're covering up
I
Katie, the
saw
princess.
that.
And she
I
couldn't even show her ankles, and I mean, it's just they're done.
I thought that was
France is
fake.
done. Right, they're toast. And so, why are we going to spend blood and treasure to support the city of London when they've capitulated without firing a shot? We fought 700 years to drive the Muslim crap out of Europe. Everybody, oh, Vlad the Impaler, man, he was a Christian murderer, and 20,000. He slaughtered the Muslims to get them out of what is now Romania. Shh, don't let facts ruin a good story. I understand. He defended. He had to clean the table, clean his own swamp, and fight the Muslims, keep him out. And for a while he did, until the lily livered pinkos in at that time Romania said, well, we just want to make peace with these guys. You cannot make peace with these people. They want you dead or paying their tax. You pick.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm for you. I'm with you. Let's get out of NATO. Well, we won't be leaders of the free world. Yeah, we'll be leaders of the free world in the Western Hemisphere. What happens to Europe? Go to hell in a handbasket. Shouldn't have gone to World War One. We fought the Japanese for obvious reasons. And the city of London is trying to run Europe. Good luck. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to be done with this. So I wanted to share something. It's a little hard to kind of get a full picture of this here. I'm slowly getting better at the streaming stuff, but I was watching I usually watch Crowder or listen to him daily, and talking about
Okay.
NATO, and kind of tying this back to Iran. This was a post by a French guy that I wanted to see what your thoughts were on this. So let me bring this
All
up
right.
really quick.
Okay.
Um, just so the people know that it's real, but I'll read it. It says, "You literally send thousands of people to death, but you do everything you can to rescue one guy and show your public opinion that human life matters more than meeting war objectives quickly. Easy, hypocritical war marketing the Americans will always buy."
What was the
Um,
first? Say that first sentence again.
You literally send thousands of people to death, but you do everything you can to rescue one guy and show your public opinion that human life matters more than meeting war objectives quickly.
Well, that wasn't accurate. American lives are most important.
Right.
Yeah. We're this is a person who's taken aside that we live in this place where there's no evil. Okay, so this is the thought process that as Iran was murdering what 20, 30, 40,000 of their own, okay, while campuses around Europe and here in the States tables are set up about how peaceful Islam is. There's no complaint about that.
Right.
Okay, so it's utter nonsense. Like I said, if it's between us and them, it's us. I choose us. I choose America. Make me a hypocrite? Oh my God. I've been labeled. Somebody hand me a tissue. Yeah, I could care less. Okay.
Right.
The French? Really?
Yeah,
The
yeah. So check
French?
this out. So I found it's the same person. He says, "Lose all of this to rescue one pilot and
Mm-hmm.
call it your greatest military success of all time. Guys will literally be complete losers, but say, hey, we behaved like heroes. You can't understand that."
No, they can't. I agree. You know, the limp-wristed French and Europeans won't understand. They don't get this. You know, they've gone beta male. Yeah, hug up, and love up on your pink and blue-haired liberals. Go for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's awfully rich coming from the French. Yeah, what you don't understand what we're willing to sacrifice. Yeah, I get it. You don't understand. Why don't you ask the flipping people that showed up on boats on your shores in the 40s to save your sorry butts?
there's the famous um conversation between Charles de Gaulle, the general and president of then later president of France, who demanded that he got France out of NATO as a regular force and wanted our soldiers gone. And so the reply, I can't remember, was it Eisenhower or Marshall or some, I forget the person who responded back and wanted to know all of the Americans. Yeah, every American's got to leave, including the ones that are buried here. Okay.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's rich because they can get away with it. And they get their comeuppance, man. The, there's these Muslim free zones now. The Muslim zones now have taken over Paris and other parts of France. In 10, 15 years, he's going to be like, "Ooh, what happened? Yeah, what do you mean I got to hear the call to prayer 5 times a day in my own church?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't lose sleep over what the French think.
I don't think anyone does.
You know?
It, you know,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it's rich coming from a nation that when we as Americans, or and especially with just talking about Trump, when Trump sits there and says, "You know what? I think we need to take Greenland," and NATO sends 11 of their finest in a helicopter, all of NATO.
All of NATO. That's all they got.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
um,
and that's the thing. England didn't send a ship because they couldn't send their ship.
I don't doubt it.
Okay? Yeah, there's a lot behind that. Their navy is in bad shape. If Argentines took the Falkland Islands again, I don't think they could muster a navy to take it back. Seriously doubt it.
Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna go ahead and call it there. Certainly, there's a lot of subject material that we can go hours on. Um, Once again, NATO sucks.
Yeah.
Just I I've about had it with them. I've taken pause with Iran in the sense like I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna act like some of these buffoons on the right who voted for him and are now going, ah, no, he's doing what I didn't vote for and this and that. No, because if this gets handled, and I think in the total time lapse within just a couple months, and it's no more than a couple months, then fine. I'm I'll lay my head every night and sleep just fine with it because he said and did exactly what he's wanted to do since 1980. I've been privy to that information. It's just disappointing that other people aren't or are not willing to be a part of that information. So, um, we'll watch and see. Another big topic that's coming up is birthright citizenship, and next
Yes,
time I get a
sir.
hold of you, we're definitely going to be talking about that one. So,
Woo.
Um,
Woo.
listen, everyone, thank you for the support. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Please like, subscribe to the channel. If you have questions, if you have responses to anything that we've said,
Yeah.
please put it in the comment section so we can actually engage with that. And a little thing that I'm working on right now is we're gonna show dad, we're gonna get him involved and exposed to some of the chat rooms that I get involved with to get an outside view of what people are talking about. So once
Oh
we get
my
that
goodness.
established, we're gonna bring dad into the fold, and it'll be at a bird's eye view. We're not gonna be directly involved, but we're gonna have live feed of the chat rooms that I'm in, and
Am I going to go back to drinking?
potentially, potentially. So, dad, any final words you want to end the night with?
Yeah, I don't have a monopoly on this. It's just an old man's ideas and perspective. You got yours. Please put them in there or ask what this old man's idea is about any subject, American economy, society, anything in the culture. Ben and I have talked over the years of me growing up and what it was like. I showed him where I grew up in Brooklyn and West Virginia and all different places. And he always had great questions. And so just be a part of it. And for if you're somebody who wants to learn and grow and maybe develop an idea, a passion, uh, put it in here. Let's talk about it and go from there. Let's have some fun with this.
Rock on. Well, hey, appreciate it as always, dad. Um, we're gonna continue on with this because the world has always got something to talk about here. We're never gonna run out of topics, it seems like. So appreciate you always giving your input, and we'll see you next time. All right,
You got it. You got it. Love up on our babies there.
we'll do. You take care.
Good. Will do. Bye bye.